Here's the front of the engine there. We've assembled a few more bits and pieces onto it. There's the two pipes for the water jacket that connect the two heads together at the top. They're both made out of steel, and they tend to rust fairly quickly, so it's really important that the correct anti-corrosive mix is put into the coolant. The alternator's mounted in there. It has rubber mounts, so the alternator is actually connected to the engine via another strap to give it a ground connection. And at present I'm working on the power feed to the engine. That's the battery connection, and the car is also connected to that via the starter motor solenoid, which will go on once the engine is back into the car. So we'll leave that disconnected for the moment. But there's a little bracket down here on these right-hand drive engines where that clip there fits onto there. So I've replaced the rubber in that one. The cable feeding the alternator and the power supply to the car goes down through here. There's actually a little piece in that bracket, which I will show you in a second. There's not much light down there, but no, we can't see it because it's too dark. But that holds the cables away from the pipes leading to the oil cooler and the suspension compressor. That's the suspension compressor mount there. Okay. So now this cable here is just sitting in there at the moment, but that's the coil, rev counter, throttle position switch, for want of a better word, for the gearbox. That's over on, that fits onto the manifold, but that's the loom for it there, which is all in pretty good condition. And that just plugs into the firewall on this end. So it has just this one plug, and that just plugs in. So there's that plug which connects the fuel injection cold start solenoid. That's really important that that is connected up to there. And on these here there's a thermo time switch, temperature switch, engine temperature. They all fit into those holes there. They won't go on until the manifolds are bolted down. I'm just waiting for parts for that. That's the leads for the two cold start valves. There's one on each intake manifold. There's two intake manifolds. So it's all tidily in one lump. Luckily nobody's had a go at this like they have the rest of the car. There's a left and there is a right for these wires. Two different lengths, so it's no problem. That's the thermostat for the cold start. So when the engine is cold, there's a little thermostat in there is shrunk upwards, and that allows more fuel into the engine. If you don't get enough fuel, it pushes downwards. And as the engine warms up, the thermostat pushes down, pushes a linkage inside here, inside the governor, and that allows the engine to lessen the amount of fuel and slow the engine speed down as it warms up. It hardly ever works properly. Cars that are driven a lot, it always works well. Cars that are hardly ever driven, they always stick. Just something to remember. Right, that's this cable here. Goes in here like that, and then that bolts onto here, while this one here goes around behind the oil pressure filter. So we have to keep clear of these two areas here to keep that clean for the pipes to run through. Just get a nut and a bolt for that. Secure that, and that goes up there like that and feeds along to the battery. And there's another bracket mounted on the car that holds that away from the exhaust. So that clips on there, and that just pushes on to the other bracket. the main power feed for the car. It goes from this terminal block hidden behind the alternator. When it's on the car, it's pretty well impossible to get. So I'll just screw those screws in there just temporarily. So the new leads come down here and join onto that. Get the right screw.